Have you ever noticed that the moment you voice your deepest desires out loud, whether it's love, success, validation, or belonging, something strange happens? The energy shifts. Suddenly, the thing you want most begins to drift farther away. It's not magic. It's not punishment. It's principle. Because desire, when expressed from a place of lack, reveals something about us we don't often admit. We feel incomplete. And the world, it doesn't respond to incompleteness with fulfillment. It responds with resistance. People don't chase need. They're drawn to wholeness. Environments don't bend to desperation. They respond to certainty. The truth is, when you broadcast what you crave, what you're really doing is declaring what you don't yet have. And in doing so, you give away your power. You hand it over. You shift from being a creator to a beggar. And a beggar has no leverage. Let that sink in. Every time you say, I just want someone to love me, you're revealing that you believe love is something outside of you. When you say, I need them to see me, you're admitting that your worth still depends on their gaze. And when you constantly express desire for what you haven't built within, you announce to the world, I am not enough yet. But let me ask you something. What if the power was never in the asking? What if the real power was in the embodiment? Because when you embody love, you don't need to ask for it. When you walk like you matter, people treat you like you do. When you become the very thing you once begged for, the tables turn, and so does your life. See, the moment you shift from wanting to owning, from hoping to knowing, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly favors you, but because you've stopped waiting for permission to be powerful. You've taken it back. And that's when the chase ends and the attraction begins. Have you ever wondered why saying what you want out loud sometimes feels like it weakens you instead of empowering you? You speak your desire into the air, expecting clarity or movement, but instead you feel exposed, even vulnerable. Why is that? Because the moment you express desire from a place of lack, what you're really doing without realizing it is announcing your incompleteness. It's not the wanting that's the problem. Wanting is natural. It's human. But when your desire is rooted in a belief that you are not already enough, not already whole, it doesn't come out as strength. It comes out as a cry for validation. And the world hears that cry differently than you intend. People can feel the energy of lack before you even say a word. It lives in your body language, in your tone, in your eyes. When someone says, I just want someone to love me, it's not just the words that matter. It's the weight behind them. That sentence doesn't say, I know my worth and want to share it. It says, I don't know who I am without someone else telling me. And here's the hard truth. When you speak from that place, you don't inspire connection. You invite imbalance. You attract people, situations, and outcomes that mirror your internal void. Not because you're unworthy, but because your energy told the world that you're still searching for yourself. We live in a world that responds to energy more than words. If your desire is laced with neediness, it repels. If it's grounded in wholeness, it draws in. That's why two people can want the same thing: success, love, respect. But only one of them seems to get it effortlessly. It's not luck. It's posture. It's presence. It's what's happening behind the words. Ask yourself, when I say what I want, am I trying to fill a hole or am I expressing overflow? Am I leaking hope in the form of a plea, or am I commanding my space with quiet certainty? It's okay to desire more, but it's vital to understand where that desire is coming from. If it comes from a wounded place, it will echo that wound through your entire life. If it comes from wholeness, It amplifies who you already are. That's the real difference between expressing desire and revealing lack. One expands you, the other depletes you. You see, expressing desire should be an act of power, not an admission of weakness. But for that to happen, you have to do the inner work. You have to become the kind of person who doesn't need to be heard to be seen, who doesn't need to ask to receive, who doesn't need to reach out to be held. And when you become that person, desire doesn't make you powerless anymore. It makes you magnetic. We all want to be seen, don't we? We all want to be seen, don't we? Understood, valued, desired. It's one of the most basic human impulses to be noticed and chosen. But here's the paradox. The more you try to be seen, the more invisible you become. The more you reach for validation, the more it slips through your fingers. Because the world doesn't respond to your need to be loved, accepted, or admired. It responds to the presence of someone who already is. Think about it. Who gets the room's attention without even speaking? Who walks in and shifts the energy without trying? It's not the loudest. It's not the most attractive. It's not the one with the flashiest outfit or the most rehearsed pitch. It's the one who doesn't need the room to tell them who they are. That's the energy the world respects, self-possession. Because self-possession is not arrogance, it's not pretending. It's a quiet confidence that says, I know what I carry, I know what I offer. I don't need you to confirm it for me. That energy changes everything. It's what makes people lean in without you having to raise your voice. It's what makes opportunities chase you instead of you constantly having to run them down. But here's the hard part. Most people are operating from the opposite. They don't walk into spaces with presence. They walk in with performance. They shape-shift. They people-please. They overshare. They declare their goals not to inspire, but to seek reassurance. And without realizing it, they give away their power with every word, because when you try to prove your value, you automatically suggest that it's not self-evident. In the world where the people, relationships, jobs, or circumstances will always mirror back the level of certainty you carry within yourself. That's why it's dangerous to beg for energy that should flow to you naturally. When you become obsessed with being noticed, you disconnect from the power of being centered, and people can feel that. They might smile at you, they might even compliment you, but deep down, they know. You're still waiting for the outside world to validate your inner worth. But imagine the shift if you stopped needing the reaction, if you moved with the energy of someone who no longer needs to be chosen because they already chose themselves. Imagine the strength of walking into any space and knowing you don't have to ask for attention. You are the attention. That's the kind of presence that bends reality. Not because you force it to, but because your alignment demands it. The world moves for people who move from within. Not because they said the right thing, but because they became the right thing. That's what makes you powerful. It's a strange thing, isn't it? How the simple act of saying what we want can quietly unravel the very power we hoped it would bring. We think that speaking our desires boldly will open doors. We think it shows confidence. But in reality, too often, it reveals a subtle dependency we didn't even know we had. Every time you vocalize your wants from a place of uncertainty, you give away something sacred. You hand over a piece of your inner authority. And suddenly the power shifts not in your favor, but away from you. Because the moment you say, I need this to happen, you give your peace to something you cannot control. You give your center to something outside of you. And what's worse, you position yourself beneath it. You don't mean to, no one does, but intention doesn't always protect you from energy. Wanting isn't the problem. Longing isn't the crime. The danger lies in where you place your power when you express it. If your words carry the tone of waiting for permission, waiting for someone else's choice, waiting for some external shift to justify your next move, then the very thing you're reaching for will sense it and recoil. Because power never flows to need, it flows to presence. When you constantly talk about what you're hoping will happen, how much you want it, how long you've been waiting, you might feel like you're reinforcing your dream, but what you're really doing is reminding the world and yourself that it hasn't happened yet, that you're still in lack, that you're still becoming. And every time you highlight your not yet, you bury your already. Let's be honest, some of us are talking too much, not in volume, but in vibration. We are leaking energy through our words. Declaring dreams before we've developed the discipline. Sharing plans before we've built the person. Voicing hope before we've anchored it in quiet belief. And in doing so, we turn sacred intentions into public auditions, hoping someone claps before we're even ready to step on stage. But your power isn't in how loudly you speak your desire. It's in how deeply you own it, even in silence. There's something magnetic about a person who doesn't have to say what they want, because everything about them moves like it's already theirs. They don't chase, they don't convince, they just are. And people feel that. They respect it. They respond to it because it's real. It's grounded. It doesn't need to be proven. You have to ask yourself, are you expressing your desire to manifest it or to feel safe? Are you talking about it because you're walking in it or because you're still waiting for someone to approve your direction? Your words are powerful, but not because they make things appear. They're powerful because they expose what you believe. And when you constantly speak from a place of I hope instead of I know, from I want instead of I embody, you trade your authority for attention. And attention, no matter how flattering, can never replace the depth of conviction. So sometimes the strongest move is silence. Not because you're hiding your goals, but because you're busy becoming them. It's easy to think that if you just say it enough, if you declare your vision loud enough, often enough to the right people at the right time, life will bend to your voice. But here's the truth most people never learn. Power doesn't come from expression. Not real power. Not the kind that shifts atmospheres and commands respect without a single word. Real power comes from embodiment. It's not about saying you're confident. It's about moving like confidence is your natural state. It's not about telling the world you know your worth. It's about how you sit, how you walk, how you decide, how you leave, how you stay. That's where the truth lives. In how you carry yourself when no one's watching. In how you respond when the room goes quiet. In how you show up when no one claps. Because when you express something you haven't yet become, the world can feel the gap. There's a dissonance. And no matter how polished your words may sound, people sense what's missing beneath them. They may not be able to explain it, but they feel it. The world can always tell when your talk is heavier than your walk. But when you've embodied the thing, when you've made peace with the process, when you've done the work, when you've faced the mirrors and walked through the fire, you don't need to speak it for it to be real. You don't need to announce your transformation. You are the transformation. It radiates off you in stillness. And ironically, that's when the world starts listening most. Because embodiment is what separates those who chase potential from those who live it. It's what turns desire into presence. It's what takes the hunger that once made you restless and turns it into fuel for something anchored, something unshakable, something that doesn't waver just because things don't happen on your timeline. When you embody power, it's no longer about proving who you are. You just are. And that energy, it's unmistakable. It's unteachable. It's unforgettable. You've seen it before in the person who walks in without saying a word and still shifts the dynamic of the room. In the one who doesn't boast about their value but somehow makes everyone around them rise. That's embodiment. No need for performance. No craving for approval. Just alignment. Just presence. Just being. And that kind of being changes the rules. You stop asking if you're enough. You stop waiting for the world to give you permission. You stop needing to express your dreams because your daily life has already become the expression. You become undeniable, not because you talked your way into power, but because you became the version of yourself who no longer had to. There's a moment, quiet and subtle, when everything begins to shift. You stop chasing. You stop explaining, you stop proving, and something changes not just in the air around you, but in the way the world begins to treat you. That's the moment you realize attraction begins when you stop chasing and start becoming. See, chasing is rooted in lack. It says, I don't have it yet, so I must run after it. It puts you in pursuit mode, and pursuit is exhausting when it's not led by purpose, but by emptiness. The problem with chasing is that it keeps your focus fixed outward, on who has what you want, on what hasn't shown up yet, on what you fear you're running out of time to achieve. And in that state, you're not building, you're not becoming, you're just reaching. And reaching over time will drain you. It will blur your vision. It will strip your center, because no matter how fast you move, if you're running from the belief that you're not already enough, you'll never outrun it. But when you shift from chasing to becoming, the game changes. You stop looking for the thing and you stop becoming the kind of person who naturally draws that thing into their reality. Not by force, not by pressure, but by alignment. You don't attract what you beg for. You attract what you are prepared to sustain. You attract what matches your level of self-respect, your habits, your boundaries, your decisions, your emotional maturity. When you become someone who lives with wholeness, who doesn't perform, doesn't plead, doesn't negotiate with their value, the things that once felt so far away begin to circle back to you, not because you chased them, but because you grew into the version of yourself who magnetizes them. Look around. The most magnetic people aren't the ones chasing attention. They're the ones minding their growth. They're the ones investing in their peace. They're not running toward anyone. They're rooted, focused, still. And that stillness, that inner grounding, it becomes a gravitational pull. When you become the thing you were reaching for, you don't need to convince anyone to notice you. You don't need to beg anyone to choose you. You don't have to market your worth. It's visible, it's felt, it's in your pace, in your clarity, in the way you no longer entertain what you used to tolerate. That kind of person isn't chasing life, they're commanding it. But here's the key. That kind of power can't be faked. It's not a performance you turn on when people are watching. It's a quiet, consistent, private shift that happens when you finally say, enough. I'm done waiting. I'm done begging. I'm done hoping someone sees what I carry. I see it now, and that's enough. That's the moment when doors open without knocking, when people respect your presence without needing a pitch, when you're no longer trying to fit in, but somehow everything starts to fit around you because you've stopped chasing what you want and you've started living like it's already yours. So now you know. You don't need to announce your worth. You don't need to shout your desires into the void, hoping someone somewhere will validate them. You are not here to chase approval, to beg for love, to run after recognition like it's oxygen. You are here to become the version of yourself that no longer waits to be chosen because you already chose you. Become the force that doesn't need to push because your presence pulls. Become the kind of person whose silence speaks louder than noise, whose energy walks into the room before your body does. The power was never in the asking. It was always in the becoming. You don't have to chase what's already aligned with who you are. You just have to rise to meet it, grow into it, and let go of every part of you that believed you had to earn what was already within you. So take your power back, not with noise, but with knowing. Not with pressure, but with presence. The world doesn't need your explanations. It needs your embodiment. Go forward, build in silence, move with certainty, and let your becoming speak for itself. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for choosing to rise.